David Weisberg, president of Temple Emanuel. How are you doing this evening?
Doing great, Rabbi. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Yeah, I'm so glad we have this opportunity, and a special thank you and shout out to Dave and Kim Rulo, who thought this would be a great idea, and I completely concur. We've been looking outside of the synagogue for content, but also recognizing that those who are in positions of leadership, those who are on our staff, have a tremendous amount to offer all of us at this time. Before we dive into some of the content tonight, let me ask you that question a little bit more pointedly. The baseball season should have started by now. Now, how you doing?
Well, it's a great point. Pirates have never been undefeated on May 17th, so that's a good sign. Yeah, I do miss the game, and hopefully there will be opportunity at some point this summer for baseball, even if it's not in person. I got a little bit of a fix the other day by watching Korean baseball on ESPN early morning, but it's not the same. I'm looking forward to the Buccos getting back in town.
I saw the amazing video you posted on social media of one of the most unusual batting stances I've ever seen. It seemed pretty effective, though.
Tell you what, if everybody can hit a home run with that type of stance, why not? So,
right? Although Little League coaches everywhere are aghast and hoping no kid sees that.
That's right. That's really swinging from the heels. So
right. All right. So let's dive in. During the high holidays this year, you mentioned that the search process and rabbinic transition was one of these pivotal moments for Temple Emanuel. Little did you know that as part of your presidency, namely COVID-19, you were going to get another one of those pivotal moments. How is the response to this crisis transforming what we do at Temple? How is it a pivotal moment?
Yeah, it's incredible where we are, what's been happening, not just at Temple Emanuel, but across our greater Pittsburgh community and frankly, across the world. It really is incredible how our staff, you, Rabbi Locketts, Leslie Hoffman, Iris Harlan, really have helped position us in the midst of this time where we still have a virtual community, even though our building isn't open. But it's been, frankly, really, really exciting because I think with how that community has been built and continuing to be built, we've had a number of our congregants, volunteers, board members who have been reaching out to other congregants to see how they're doing. We've had financial support from congregants for those congregants who are in need. And even more importantly, we realize we're part of a broader community, and we did a great fundraising campaign for SHIM, for their food pantry, just in the last couple weeks here, and we raised over $10,000. So really important and impressive in a very, very scary time for many.
That's right. So this isn't your first go around as president. They managed to convince you to do this not once, but twice. How did that conversation go? Why on earth did you agree to this?
Yeah, it's funny. 4 years ago, almost exactly, is when our annual meeting occurred where I was elected president for my first 2-year term. And at that point, Rabbi Meyer hadn't yet announced that he was going to be retiring. And so lo and behold, 6 months into that term, he did announce. And he gave us 18 months notice. And frankly, the board and we had some outside help, provided us some guidance and how we really wanted to think about the future. And so thankfully, we were able to honor and celebrate Rabbi Meyer in many respects. And we made a decision at that point how important it was to have an interim rabbi. And Rabbi Don Rossoff came in for that 1 year. And frankly, that was my third year then as president. And then followed by obviously a search for our settled rabbi. And we've hit a home run for sure using the baseball theme with you coming in. So it's really been an interesting time. And I guess back to your question as to how they got me to do it, it really was through a lot of the transition that the congregation was going through. They felt the nominating committee and others on the board felt it was important for me to stay on. And thankfully, my family was supportive, and they were willing for me to be able to do so. And it's really been a momentous time, as we talked about a little bit earlier, in Temple Emanuel's history.
I think every congregational president faces challenges, and it is definitely a labor of love, with emphasis both on love, but also labor. There are a tremendous number of hours that go into it. And you've had more than your fair share. You have put in a tremendous number of hours in support of this congregation, and we are so grateful.
Well, I appreciate that. And I will say it's not just me. I mean, there are lots and lots of people who have put in lots and lots of hours over these 4 years. And the encouraging thing for me is that there is a broad number of people who have been engaged throughout these last few years that are continuing to be engaged and really building for the future.
I'm excited that we also have a past president slot on the board. So we're not going to get rid of you too quickly. And we're going to need your help. This country has seen an unprecedented rise in the unemployment numbers that you are keeping an eye on, both professionally as well as for the congregation. There's so much lost income due to reduced hours and furloughs and layoffs. It's bringing a lot of economic pain to many, many people and many congregants and many organizations. How is Temple going to begin to navigate what is going to be an exceedingly difficult economic time?
Yeah, not easy. And this COVID-19 crisis has impacted people for their families and people losing lives. And that obviously is the most of all challenges. And then secondly, it's the loss of jobs and the loss of income. And what does that mean for those families? So thankfully, we've at least had somewhat of a safety net and community to help support those at Temple. But really going forward, we've been taking a lot of steps planning for that to be the case. And our finance team has been working hard, as well as lay leaders on the board, looking at ways to not just tighten our belts a little bit, by reducing some expenses and otherwise for this upcoming year, even though we don't know exactly what's going to happen. But we've also had board members and other volunteers and other members who have stepped up with additional dollars to help with contributions to help the congregation continue to really fulfill its mission, and how important it is for us as a community to really be together during this very, very challenging time.
It was a perfect segue, so I'm going to jump on it. One of the things we've been talking a lot about, and one of the things that you have not only been an advocate for, but the bus driver for, has been looking at Temple's mission and vision statement and making sure that they are up to snuff, that they're who we need to be in this day and age. Why was it important to you to take this opportunity to revise our mission and vision statements?
Yeah, we really we've been working on this for years. And the great thing is it's finally come to fruition. And it really is the culmination, frankly, of our search process. We had done a lot of introspection as a congregation over these last number of years. And it began with our wish poem, 6 years ago now, taking congregational temperature, as well as focus groups when we were in the midst of the beginning of our settled rabbi search. Focus groups and congregational survey, as well as the board. We actually, a year ago, we had brought in an outside consultant who was helping us look at the differences between a functional versus a visionary congregation. And we knew that we really wanted to look to the future and how we could think broader and think in many respects how it was important for us to move ahead. And so all of those pieces, And then even you look a year ago, we brought in Dan Liebenson as part of the Sagewitz Endowment Fund speaker series, who's the podcast host for Judaism Unbound. And one of the things he talks about in his podcast weekly is about how congregations need to think broader, and not just congregations, but any Jewish organization. So each of those pieces were important. And then as we moved into the fall of this of 19, it was important moving through many of those ideals that we had been building upon. And so with all of that, we had a task force that pulled all of that information together, including the congregational meetings that we had in the fall in November with some of the feedback. And then we actually, I'll say, newly minted over the course of many, many, many weeks, our updated and refreshed vision and mission statements. And I think it's so important because as we look at the vision of a congregation, or frankly, any organization, business organization, it's our why. Why are we in existence? Why, not only for those that are here as part of our community and part of our temple family, but also for the broader Pittsburgh and frankly Jewish community across the country and the world. And it really is important for us, our why. And some of you may remember Simon Sinek, who wrote the book about that, about why. And it really is important for us. And so it helps develop our guideposts as we move ahead. And the good thing for Temple is that it actually allows us to start to plan both our programming as well as our staffing and otherwise to really gear towards what's important for Temple and frankly the broader community.
One of the things I found most attractive about this community as a candidate was the amount of soul searching and exploration that you did. As you mentioned, this is the culmination of a long process from the wish poems to congregational surveys to focus groups to in-house meetings to meetings in the Beit HaTefillah. There have been so much data that has been synthesized as to what creates this sacred community that has gone into this mission and vision. And it's truly remarkable. So that mission and vision, in a good time, anyone is able to skate by. In a challenging time, it becomes even more important to maintain that focus. Living, learning, leading Judaism. We're in that extreme time now. Are you still confident that the direction we were going in pre-COVID-19 is the direction we should be in now?
No doubt. And in fact, it reinforces all the work that we've been doing over the years. And with all of the great efforts that people, including you and other staff that we've talked about, really have been pushing ahead to make Temple Emanuel relevant in people's lives, how important that is, and how, and there's so many ways that we can connect between each other, among each other. It really allows us to plan for the future. And the great thing is it's not just for next year or the following year. This is a sustainable, future-looking vision statement for Temple Emanuel. And I've said it before in various meetings, but it's probably one of the things that I'm most proud of with my presidency is setting this stage for where we are going forward.
It's tremendous guidance to us as staff, the synthesis of what's important to this community that we can really focus on and really direct and concert our efforts toward. And I'm grateful to have that document and that guidance as we continue to do good things together.
For sure. Thank you.
David Weisberg, President of Temple Emanuel, there are going to be many opportunities to thank you for your hard work from the years past and the years to come. We're not letting go that easily, but I want to take this opportunity to thank you for everything that you have done and are continuing to do to guide this community in not so certain times. We are lucky to have you at the helm. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much.